Okay, if you'd like to please tell me your name and your occupation.
My name is Jamie, and I am a promotions and marketing manager for nightclubs. I've been doing that for about 10 years.
Okay. Could you give me a brief history of the sort of acts that you've helped promote in the kind of clubs that you have been working in?
Okay, so I started off as a kind of promotions assistant for a nightclub, and the first part of my job when I was really young was just getting riders for bands and kind of meeting them and kind of making sure they're okay. And then as I became a promotions manager, I started booking bands. My boss would let me book lesser known bands, and we booked bands for maybe 200, 300 capacity nightclub that I worked for.
Okay, could you talk me through the process that booking a band might have involved?
Yeah, I mean, it all kind of depends on the kind of band we were booking. If it was a good band, it's kind of a long process because you're not a massive venue trying to make a hell of a lot of money out of the gig ticket-wise. In terms of a nightclub, you're just trying to attract people in and make money over the bar, mostly through drink sales. So you haven't got a huge kind of spend when it comes to booking a band. And any kind of decent band that if you were to sit down and write your dream band that you'd want to come and play your band, play your club, you probably need 10, 15 grand, and that's the kind of money that people go out for. So like the best advice I'd ever give to anyone who had to book a band is kind of look for bands that you think are going to be really, really cool, maybe down the line in 6 months, or you know that someone who's been around a while, but you know that they're going to come back with a big single because they've got a big album to launch, or they're going on tour and they want to promote themselves. It's kind of get on the back of a marketing campaign, because that's the only way you're kind of going to get a decent act to play. Is because the nightclub you have in particular is probably a market that they might not be hitting, or that they just want to gain exposure, or if they're a really new act that's got a lot of hype about them, their manager might want them to play around a lot, play live, you know, kind of get a feel for the kind of artists they are.
Sure.
So we had a lot of that as well. So we had people like the Scissor Sisters and kind of Fisher Spooner and Goldfrapp, who wanted to play our club because we were quite cool, and they thought it would be fun and interesting thing to do. We had bands like Alpha Beats and Mika, because their record company wanted them to play there because they thought that was a huge demographic that they could be getting. And then we had bands like We Are Scientists, and kind of more rocky bands like Maximo Park, basically because the market, it was the way the market was going, and we wanted to get some really good substantial bands in to prove that we weren't just kind of like a gay club.
Sure. Would you put all of the acts you just mentioned under the pop umbrella?
I think so as well. I think something happened kind of in about 2005 where indie was very cool and rock was very cool and pop was also very cool, and it just become an amalgamation, I think, now that unless you're a really, really heavy metal band and you're indie, you're kind of pop as well. So basically, bands like the Kaiser Chief or Franz Ferdinand are sat in the charts with acts like Rihanna, and when you go to see concerts these times like B Festival or Download, you fully expect to see Jay-Z and then a rock band and then Lady Gaga, and it's all part of the kind of multi-platform of the genre now.
Sure. Okay, that's great. What would you say was the most expensive act you ended up putting on?
I think the most expensive act we put on was when we put on the Scissor Sisters
Yeah.
for the second time. They played for us through a good friend, Jim Stanton, who we both know.
Yeah.
First gig in the UK, absolutely amazing. They played for us the second time, and that was kind of low-key and it was kind of fine. But when they came back to promote the second album, they cost us a huge amount of money. Huge. We're talking, I think it's 15 grand.
£15,000 for the Scissor Sisters.
And we charged £12 a ticket, and we lost money. We didn't lose a huge amount of money. I think we lost somewhere around 3 or 4. But I think.
Why did you think you lost money? Simply because the
initial
payout was so.
We fully knew we were going to lose
money.
I used to work for someone called Tommy, who I think, as nightclub promoters go, he's quite unique. The whole company was in that sometimes they would do things to look good, to kind of pay back their customers, to kind of prove that they were a very cool, out there, kind of market-leading nightclub. And they lost money on it, just purposely, like a lot of times you lose money on things to look good. It's a PR and marketing exercise.
Yeah. It's not a money-making
Yeah,
exercise.
and it was a beautifully intimate gig at the Scala. I say intimate, there was 1,200 people there.
Sure.
But it was absolutely fantastic, and Elton came along, and
Elton John.
Elton sat there from the sides, giving his little
Excellent.
way to everything. It was actually brilliant, and I think it really did cement Popstarz as a brand as being, you know, the kind of the biggest indie gay club in the world, really.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. Is it necessarily harder to book an act? Well, I suppose you did say earlier that the more famous that they are.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is. I mean, now I work at Proud in Camden.
Yeah.
So we kind of have pop and indie acts, and we're kind of a 700 capacity venue, and it's very cool. And to get a lot of the younger kind of bands that are performing there are kind of kids that have been there as kids, and they've got record contracts now, and they really want to perform there because it's kind of seen to be very cool, and it's a very cool venue. But to get the bigger artists there, yeah, it is harder, because at the end of the day, touring is where bands' revenue is now. They're not getting a lot through CD sales, definitely not through singles. So
No.
if they're going to go out there and tour, they want to do somewhere good, and they want to do massive, you know, arena tours and tour around the world.
Sure. Okay. What would you say you could do in your position to make your customers' experience the most optimum it possibly can be from a live show in a club environment?
A live show, I mean, one really important thing to actually mention about having acts on in clubs is most of the time it's part of a club night. So it's not a gig. So
it's a PA.
It's a PA.
Personal appearance.
Yeah. So sometimes they want to come on and they want to sing their whole new album, and they want to do it acoustically with a choir of children behind them.
Yeah.
But you and me both know that's not going to work in the middle of a club anywhere.
Yeah.
No matter whatever the market of the club is.
Yeah.
You know, R&B, a gay club, like a cool indie club, it's never going to work. You want a good song that everyone knows. You want one of their new songs. You want them to do a cover, and, you know, 3-song, 4-song over, basically. Or you want to, you know, have a couple of acts. I think that's a huge thing to remember. I think as well, yeah, booking someone who's good. It's about showing people a decent act that you know. Sometimes it's really good to book a man that you think's really cool, and then a year down the line, everyone goes, "Oh wow, actually, do you know what? We went and saw them at your club like a year ago, and you were right. They're absolutely amazing."
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we did that a lot, I think, at Popstarz. We do that a lot now at Proud. I mean, we have.
How do you keep your finger on the pulse? I mean, do you literally just pick something up that you think sounds cool that that isn't in the public domain?
I don't know. I think obviously we live in London, and a lot of our friends. I mean, my friends are club promoters, or they work for record companies, or the fact that I work in Proud is, you know, you get to hear what's new and what's relevant. I think as well, what a great thing about my current company is that we employ an army of interns who are all some are 18, some are 22, and they're always coming into the office and throwing on a record or throwing on a song, and I'm like, oh well, this is an Oasis. I don't know what this is. What's this? What's this? It's exciting, and you know, it kind of makes you feel a bit young, but they kind of represented it all, and we have really good bookers as well. And I think that's the main thing about a club. You want a really good booker.
So also in terms of your interns, you say it's almost essential to kind of keep in touch with the audience that you're.
Yeah, it was like I would never go to South London and open up a dubstep R&B night because I wouldn't know anything about it. So all the money I could throw all the money in the world at it, it's just not going to work. I think as well you've got to be passionate about the genre of music that you're doing.
Okay.
So yeah, it'd be good to do a pop night or an indie night where you really like it, where you really want to champion the bands, and where you think that that's something that people want to really hear.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Which part of booking live acts do you least enjoy, and of course, which part do you most enjoy?
Okay, is negotiating with booking agents in London. There's 5 reputable booking agents: Primary, Coda, the agency, 13 artists, and But they're on commission. You know they're on commission. They are trying to make as much money as they can for these for the bands, and most of the time the bands want to play. The bands like playing live. Do you know what I mean? They don't perform music to do radio shows and do pop videos. Really, they perform music because they want to perform live, because that's where they get their buzz from.
Yeah.
So sometimes you meet the artist in a club and you're like, oh, come on, do you have to go and play my club? Or, please, please. And they're like, oh yeah, I'd love to. You have to go to my booking agent because I've got this massive contract. And it's just a negotiating, because you're just going to go back and forth and it'll take forever, and you know how much you're going to pay, and they know how much they're willing to take. It's alright, sometimes it's fun, it's just tedious, I guess. I think the best part about booking a band is when you're at the side of the stage and you've booked a band, you think they're really, really cool, and you see that everyone's really enjoying themselves, and obviously the market I've worked in, both of them, that you get feedback after in terms of PR and press, and that's really cool. And your boss is always like, wow, actually Jamie, you were right, or actually you were wrong, because no one thought they were that cool. So yeah.
So it's the payoff essentially.
Yeah, it's very measurable as well for ticket sales and stuff like that.
Yeah. Explain in terms of the environment that you would put a pop act on. What would you say is in terms of clubs specifically? For example, Popstarz has been in several different venues: the Scala, Sin, the Den. What would you say makes for a good environment for a pop act?
It really depends. I think with a pop act, we moved around to venues that had very, very different layouts and staging kind of setups. So we had to change the nature of not our music policy, but the nature of our booking to fit around the staging that we had available.
Yeah.
So we kind of went from the Scala, where we had kind of a full-on arched stage, where we could have full-on bands, backlines, kind of two-tiered staging and full band, to the Sin, where we had a much smaller stage. So we had to think about maybe dropping the backline, much smaller bands that aren't 5-piece to 2-piece, or them coming, like when the Gossip came, they did kind of an off-the-cuff set, because we couldn't have the whole band on the stage.
Yeah.
So literally, she came out, sang songs kind of a cappella to a guitar and over a CD.
Cool.
And then when we moved to the Den, the stage was even smaller again, so we just did backing tracks. I mean, I think one of the things at Proud, now that I'm back at Proud and we have a larger stage area and the stage is movable, I think that's opened up possibilities a lot more.
Yeah, it's a lot more versatile.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay. And finally, if you could book any pop act in the world, what would it be? Or who would it be?
I think I'd love to do this thing where I kind of get a club in Shoreditch, and it's like 400 people, and I'd love to get someone really amazing. I don't know, I don't think I'd want to do someone pinnacly like Lady Gaga. If I was going to do a pop artist, I'd probably get someone like Robin to come and do something, because I've seen her live, and
she's great live.
I think she does a lot. She doesn't come out and just sing her singles. She sings versions, sing a cappella. She'll really get the crowd going as well. And I think she's just incredibly cool as well.
She is incredibly cool.
A lot of pop artists as well. I mean, pop used to be naff. It used to be all about boy bands and girl bands. And I think now the kind of production values of pop have just...
Yeah, when I saw Robin at Heaven, it was almost like seeing a rock band, but with synthesizers.
Yeah.
It was...
And I don't think there's any kind of stigma around pop music now at all. I think there's kind of a huge crossover of like indie kind of pop artists like Ellie Goulding or like Idle and Coco.
Yes.
Who I think are going to be absolutely massive.
Yeah.
The British music industry should be very proud of.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, thank you very much for your time, Jamie.
That's okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you think